At some point in time, someone while playing a game may ask themselves a question. What is its most important part? What makes what I'm playing right now memorable? Would it be graphics, something visual that catches the eye? Something which creates an image in your head that you associate with a unique feeling that only returns when you look back on that specific game? Would it be sound? Everyone knows that a song or a soundtrack can take you back. Or maybe you still shudder while hearing the Minecraft cave sounds. Would it be the overall gameplay? How you feel when you're doing things that are not possible in real life, like breezing from building to building or brutally dismembering demons? Or maybe it's all of the above, and when you take away one element, nothing ever feels the same again. Now the answer to this question is it varies from person to person. People have different preferences and interests, and often it's hard to control what exactly makes you feel a certain way, and what exactly you remember from the media you consume. One detail may be forgettable to one person, or it may practically define the experience for another. And when I caught myself thinking about some of the games I've played in the past, I noticed that strangely most of the time the things that would come to my head first were the ones that I probably shouldn't have even remembered. Sure, some masterpieces with memorable stories and moments were exceptions, but most of the time I instantly thought of the I'm Shadow, and that's what this video is going to be about. Don't worry, you'll understand what I'm talking about once we're done, hopefully. The first game that came to mind, and basically the pioneer for this video's whole concept, was Metro Exodus. Metro as a series is probably in my top 3 favorites of all time, and I believe that it is still incredibly underappreciated for its quality and authenticity. Across the 3 games, it takes you through an impactful, atmospheric adventure filled with twists and turns, and each game has its specific contribution to the overall in-game world. I somehow managed to start my journey from the latest game, and actually I played it in the strangest chronological order imaginable, but even with that in mind, Exodus is still the obvious outlier. 4A Games managed to squeeze out 100% out of all the new hardware, and created one of the best looking games I've ever laid my eyes on, with an amazing atmosphere, gameplay, and story. But when my brain decided to remind me about the time I spent in the game, the first thing that came to mind was this. The fact that a detail as small as a lighter being ignited, held, and used to burn cobwebs in your way was the first key moment I attributed to the game is kind of fascinating. The entire game is filled with details like this. For example, your flashlight progressively dims, and that can make dark places seem even more scarier. So in order to keep it charged, you need to periodically pull out a pump. To view the map or quests, instead of looking at menus, you pull out a checkboard that has all the info you need. To check radiation levels, you can even lift up your arm. You can pull out binoculars whenever you want and play around with them, or to keep the pressure in check with pneumatic weapons, you need to use the lever provided as well. Weapons jam if they're dirty, so that also requires manual intervention. The reason all of this feels so impactful is that it gives you the sense of control. It embodies you into your character and makes your experience feel more authentic, like you're the one doing all of this manually, instead of the game doing it for you. These features are single-handedly responsible for half of the emotions I felt during the gameplay. Death Stranding is a game that I'll never shut up about. It's probably the most little feature-heavy game on this list, so I wanted to make it one of the star attractions. For anyone who is not familiar with Kojima's genius game design, this game is probably the definitive walking simulator, and I love it for that. The core of the gameplay is a little detail in of itself, that in most games would be a given, just walking. However, while I barely forced myself to get through supposedly fun traversal in games like Days Gone, I voluntarily gave hours upon hours of my day to just walk from A to B across empty mountains, and I would gladly do it all over again. Similarly to Metro, the ability to grab the handles of your backpack and transfer the load I was carrying from one side to the other time and time again made me feel like I was there, in control and on this massive journey, with no other goal than to deliver the package. Seeing Sam, all tired after a long journey, finally able to take a rest made me feel this accomplishment that not many games were able to replicate, and I don't even know why just walking made me feel so alive. But to be fair, this game has a lot of little features that I would say are fun but really extra. I mean, honestly, most of the time, I didn't even pay attention to anything else. Combat, story, villains, whatever, I don't care, as long as I get to walk aimlessly. That's the magic effect this game had on me, a sense of scale and adventure, and I'm still here wondering if I'm just weird like that, or if there's anyone else who feels the exact same way about this game. Let me know. Deep Rock Galactic. I think you all know where I'm going with this one. DRG is an unforgettably fun experience with friends and randoms alike, and I don't think the game would be the same without this one button. I mean, just seeing the impact that this little detail had on the entire community and outside of it all over the internet. You can't mention this game without starting a whole chant. It's awesome. It's a universal sign of camaraderie and unity, which really benefits the game. Any conflict in this world can be solved with a fresh pint from Floyd and a
rock and stone, brother!
As long as you're not a Leaf lover. Anyone who has played Subnautica knows that it's a one-of-a-kind experience that can't be replicated, not by replaying it and not even by its sequel. Its biggest strength, inducing the fear of the unknown, plays out perfectly, giving you, the player, complete freedom and little to no hints, letting you figure everything out yourself. I can go on and on about all the great features and aspects of the game, exploration, environment, soundtrack, but this video is about the little things. And for someone who is very susceptible to paranoia and the fear of the unknown, on top of being absolutely terrified of open waters and depths, I had my moment that I've associated with the game very early on. I was out in the kelp forest scavenging, and more so just taking in the beauty around me, and how this game made me feel. But I was quickly running out of oxygen, so I had to go up to the surface. When I made my way up, I was very disoriented. But I managed to catch a glimpse of what looked like a mountain out in the distance. My curiosity got the better of me, and I began making my way forward without thinking. At the time, I didn't know exactly what made that sound and what level of danger it imposed. Of course, my first impulse was to look down, and that image is still something that makes me feel uneasy. But I can't compare it to the fight or flight response it triggered at the time. Something about staring into the depths, clueless as to what lies down there in the pit, was a unique experience. And in a way, it was scarier and more memorable than my encounters with the actual dangerous creatures that roam planet 4546b. This game gave me a level of emotion that no other game has ever come close to, and this isn't the only experience I've had that I can't forget. Every now and then I still like to watch other people overcome their fears in Subnautica.
Oh. Oh, look it. Oh.
And it gives me a sense of longing for this amazing alien world. I can go on and on, this game is too good. Assassin's Creed Syndicate. See, I told you this wouldn't be the last time I mentioned this game. For all of its ups and downs and sins, Syndicate for some reason has stuck around in my memory longer than any other title in the series. I've gone into detail about what the deal with this game is in one of my previous videos, but the reason I mention it here is due to one simple detail: the HUD swap. For some reason, no other Assassin's Creed game decided to keep this feature, and I really don't know why. Assassins have always hid in the shadows, trying to complete their job as stealthily as possible, and with the Industrial Revolution and a more pronounced society, wearing HUDs at all times may seem suspicious. So taking it off and hiding as a regular citizen is something that definitely would have been used to their advantage. This simple feature made me feel more like an assassin than in games where it actually meant something to be one. The role-playing element this gave to the game was very impactful, and it's still the first thing I remember when I think of Syndicate. That damned top hat. This is going to be a short mention, but I'm currently playing through Disco Elysium, and while this game is something else in its art style and narrative, one of my favorite details in this game, at least from a creative perspective, is the thought cabinet. In many games, certain things take time to unlock, which creates a feeling of anticipation and reward. But for a game where items don't really mean that much, the developers decided to take an alternative route. Instead, it lets you choose concepts or problems, and your character passively thinks about solutions to them while you're on your way, just like any other person would. This gives you a temporary research bonus and overall improvements to your stats. They basically become perks. The reason this might be so memorable for me is because it really fits the distinguished philosophical style of the game, which involves lots of words and concepts for you to think over on your journey. And lastly, I wanted to mention S.T.A.L.K.E.R. This was a difficult one, because I can't exactly pinpoint one particular small feature that got me so hooked, and also I was really considering leaving it as an honorable mention because of the fact that most of my time with this series has been spent in Anomaly, which is technically a group of mods, where most of the features are unofficial add-ons. But then I saw a clip of me in Shadow of Chernobyl, sitting next to a campfire and listening to one of the stalkers play guitar, and the feelings instantly came back. There's something about the zone that cannot be replicated. At this point it just feels like home, and with the original games being as ancient as they are in this day and age, this doesn't really take away from the atmosphere, surprisingly. And in any iteration of the series, just sitting next to a campfire is a detail that feels unreal. In Anomaly, I even downloaded animation packs for various foods, beverages, and cigarettes to truly emphasize the life of a true stalker. So yeah, these are a couple of games that I remember first and foremost for the small little things that some may forget about. And I recognize that I might have also been negligent to details that are important to others. So if there are any games that you remember for something specific, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy video essays on games I find interesting, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. You know what to do. And yeah, this campfire is so relaxing. I'm falling asleep.